My name is Dr. Jonathan Oates, Archivist for the London Borough of Ealing, and this is another in our series of local history YouTube videos on the Ealing Libraries channel. Today I'm standing at Connolly Dell, which is just to the south of the railway line and very near Hanwell station. Connolly Dell is one of the smallest parks in the London Borough of Ealing at 1.5 acres, but it has a very interesting history. Initially, it was part of the grounds which belonged to a large detached mansion called Lawn House or the Lawns. This house and grounds extended from the railway line as far south as the Uxbridge Road, so a considerable estate indeed. Between 1841 and 1866, it was the home of Dr. John Connolly, who I've discussed in a previous video. In this house he lived initially with his children, and they had 4 servants. They had a butler, a cook, a housemaid and a kitchen maid. From at least 1851, the house was also a private asylum for 4 ladies described as gentlewomen. The reason why Dr. Connolly turned the house into a private asylum as well as a home for himself and his children was because he was a scientist who wanted to study mental health, and this was impossible in any detail at an asylum with a large number of people, as he had worked at. So he was able to dedicate his time to research and writing. He died in 1866 and was buried at Hanwell Cemetery. In that same year, his youngest daughter Anne married Dr. Henry Maudsley just a couple of months before Dr. Connolly's death. And Dr. Maudsley and his wife ran the place as a private asylum until at least 1871. In 1881, the house was being used as a private asylum by Emma Dixon. She had 8 patients rather than the 4 that Dr. Connolly had had. By 1891, the house was deserted, and in the late 1890s, the grounds were sold off to speculative builders, and small houses were built in the grounds. A road called Connolly Road was built, which obviously is an indication of the memory of Dr. Connolly. In 1901, the house itself was subdivided into a number of flats for poor people, and a few years later the house was completely demolished, the grounds were built upon, and Connolly's house was no more. However, the council did decide to buy the northern tip of what is now Connolly Dell and turn it into a small public park. They asked Dr. Henry Maudsley, one-time owner, if he could officially open the park in April 1912, but he pleaded a prior social engagement which he could not break and recommended somebody else. The chairman of the council, however, decided that if Dr. Maudsley could not open the park, then it would be Hamlet without the prince, and so the park was not officially opened. It just opened in April 1912. And its initial opening hours meant it was actually closed for most of the afternoon. In the park were planted trees, and as you can see behind me, there was a memorial, originally a water fountain, to Dr. Connolly, which commemorates the fact that this park is on part of the grounds of his house. And finally, just to cite a quotation from the 1922 Hanwell District Guide about the park itself. "The Dell has been preserved for the public and ensures a most agreeable resting, lounging place. There are windy walks bordered with elm trees. There are 3 small lakes fed by water discharged into each other, and finally into River Brent. There is a small rustic shelter and shrubberies and flower beds which add to the general effect. I hope you have enjoyed this video and found it interesting. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe. Thank you.